So what happens when the sound waves reach the listener's ear? The first activity is physiological, because the sound waves activate the listener's eardrum and the sensory nerves carry the message in the form of nerve impulses to the brain. This is the perceptual stage or auditory stage. And then we've got the psychological stage, because the listener's brain decodes the message in order to make it recognizable. The message is decoded. That's why we call it the linguistic stage. How or why is it possible for the listener to decode the message? Because the listener shares the same code. Both speaker and listener share the same code or language. So, we've spoken of 3 stages: the articulatory stage, the acoustic stage, and the auditory stage. So there are 3 branches of phonetics. Articulatory phonetics, which deals with speech production. It's the oldest and most completely developed of the 3 branches. Acoustic phonetics, which deals with speech transmission. It's much less advanced. And auditory phonetics, which deals with speech reception. This branch has made tremendous advances since World War II. Out of these 3 branches of phonetics, which one do you think we'll be focusing on in this course? Articulatory phonetics. Yes, articulatory phonetics will be helping you to acquire new articulatory habits. We have to help you to articulate sounds, and this will improve your pronunciation and your listening skills. Now, in order to understand what a phoneme is and what an allophone is, we have to explain what we mean by linguistic hierarchy. When I say, or when I refer to hierarchy, you imagine levels, right? Different levels from top to bottom. Okay, let's analyze the following sentence. The boys ran quickly away. Do you understand this? Of course you do. Why? Because you speak English. We are sharing the same code. Great. Now, at the concrete speech level, articulatory level, this is a continuum of sound, a stretch of speech, a single breath group. Great. We'll plunge into this later on. At the linguistic level, this is a sentence, right? Do we all agree on this? It's a sentence. Now, this sentence is made up of words, right? Okay, how many words can you see here? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Great. So, the sentence is made up of words. Some of these words are content words and some are function words. Which are the content words? Words that carry meaning, lexical words, nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. In this case, noun, a noun, boys, a verb, ran, an adverb, quickly. Great. And what happens to this? The boys, the boys. It's a definite article. Well, that's a grammatical or function word. Which are the grammatical or function words? Articles, definite and indefinite articles, prepositions, possessive pronouns, auxiliary verbs. We'll analyze this later on. Now, let's pay attention to the noun boys. Boys. Okay, that's a plural form. Great, because the singular noun would be boy, and boys is the plural. So that plural morpheme, that's a plural morpheme, right? So we say that boys is made up of two morphemes, boy and the plural morpheme. So we say that boy is the free morpheme because it's capable of standing by itself. But this morpheme in isolation is not meaningful at all. It needs to be attached to the free morpheme in this case. So we speak of free and bound morphemes. So the plural morpheme would be a bound morpheme, and the noun in this case would be a free morpheme. So words in this case, the word boys is made up of two morphemes. Let's move on to ran. The boys ran quickly away. Ran. We all understand I'm talking about a past event. How do you know that? Because I'm pronouncing the verb ran. Great. But if I say the boys ran quickly away, run instead of ran, you won't understand it's a past event. You will understand it's some kind of habitual action that they usually run quickly away. But here, I want to refer to a past event. So, if I say the boys ran quickly away and then the boys run quickly away, I'm changing the meaning, right? So, how am I changing the meaning? By changing one sound, for another, That's what we understand by a phoneme. A phoneme is the smallest contrastive phonological unit capable of making a difference in meaning. So the boys ran quickly away and the boys run quickly away are not the same. So we say that ran and run are minimal pairs because they are different in only one sound segment. We have to be very careful here. Very, very careful. Because if I want to say, for example, I need a sheet of paper. I need a sheet of paper. You know what a sheet is, right? But if I mispronounce that word and instead of pronouncing it with E, I change the phoneme and I produce I. I won't say the word. You just imagine it. Okay, I'm changing the meaning completely and the register too, okay? So we have to be very careful. Through this process of commutation or minimal pairs, linguists or phonologists have been able to come up with this inventory of sounds for each language. So they say that in English, they've studied actually that in English, we've got an inventory of 44 phonemes for the English language. 24 phonemes are consonants, 12 are pure vowels, and 8 are diphthongs. I'm not talking about letters here. I'm talking about sounds, phonemes. If I change one for the other, I'm changing the meaning. So, pin is not the same as bin, or tin, or kin, chin, gin, thin, etc. Or, for example, a cup is not the same as a cap. Right? Or a bed is not the same as a bead, or it's not the same as bad or bored. If I change the phoneme, I change the meaning. Then we'll practice. When we have our practice classes, we'll we'll practice these minimal pairs. It can be lots of fun. Now, what is an allophone? Is an allophone the same as a phoneme? No, it's not. Allophones are the different phonetic realizations of phonemes in connected speech. What does that mean? Well, let's have a look at this. Port and bought. I have changed just one sound, p for b, and I've changed the meaning completely. So we say that they are phonemes. Do you follow me? Right, but when I pronounce port, I'm supposed to aspirate the p. You've got this diacritic, this little h raised next to p to show aspiration. It's a puff of air that comes out. Port. So I'm supposed to say port. Okay, but when I've got this word, I say sport. I'm not supposed to aspirate the p. Why not? Because of the context. Because of the phonetic context. It's preceded by s. So I'm not supposed to aspirate it. I'm supposed to say sport. So we've got the same phoneme, p, the abstract entity, the one your mind interprets. But when I actually say it, I realize it differently. I realize it with aspiration in one case and without aspiration in the other case. So these two different realizations are called allophones of the same phoneme. Well, so you have to remember that if I change the phonemes, I'll change the meaning completely, and you can get into trouble. Now, what if you use the wrong allophone? What if you don't aspirate the p in port? Well, you won't change the meaning. You'll sound weird. Okay? So the idea is to use the right allophones so as not to sound weird and to articulate sounds as accurately as possible. Okay, we've seen symbols here. So we have transcription, and this is a very important tool for us. It's really important. It's a great learning technique and a great learning tool because you get to see the symbols and we visualize them, so we know that's the sound I'm supposed to produce. So what is a transcription? It's the representation of speech sounds by means of a system of written symbols. Now, when you, for example, if I just include phonemes, the abstract entities, that transcription is called phonemic or broad, just phonemes, as in the first case here, port and bought. Now, if I want to include details of the allophones, for example, port, showing aspiration or without aspiration, I won't use slanting lines, I'll use brackets. And that's what we call allophonic or narrow transcription, because I'm showing details. Basically, we'll be doing phonemic or broad transcriptions, but we'll teach you the allophones of some phonemes this term. Okay, and to conclude, I'll show you this figure. It's a figure of the organs of speech. This is what we're going to study next class. We need to analyze and to describe all the organs of speech in order to know how sounds are articulated. Okay, see you next time.